Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Finally, today you're going to get to see the recipe for the Smokey Chipotle ranch dressing. That is absolutely amazing. Both my mom and I have been enjoying it a lot on our salads. So first thing I want to say is that this recipe I basically stole from my buddy and mentor Shane Sterling, Raw Vegan Rising. And you can look up his video. But I have tweaked it a bit to make it my own. But the base of it is basically just stolen from him. So that said, also I'm going to be making a large batch. So feel free to cut the ingredients in half and make a smaller batch if you don't want to. I'm going to be sharing this with my mom. And also I like to make enough for like 2 or 3 salads at once, because it does keep in the refrigerator very well for a couple of days. So this is my daughter Marilyn. She's going to be assisting me today with the recipe. So you'll need a high-speed blender, which I love my Vitamix, but I've been watching a lot of videos about the vacuum blender, so I'm probably going to be upgrading very soon. So the base of the recipe is 1 cup of cashews. So Marilyn, you can dump that in. And then 1 cup of hemp hearts or hemp seeds. And so again, the cashews are kind of my own little tweak. The base of Shane's recipe is hemp hearts, but I like to do half hemp hearts, half cashews. So then we're going to add our salt, which it sounds like a lot of salt, but we're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. This is a ranch dressing, so ranch is inherently a little bit saltier than most. If you're very anti-salt, I'm sure this recipe would be delicious without salt. We're just using a pink Himalayan salt. I did read somewhere that this has like some ridiculous amount of vitamins or minerals. I think it's minerals. Either way, pink Himalayan, really good. So we're going to be using raw apple cider vinegar, shaking it up because this does have the mother, which will settle at the bottom. So we want to make sure we shake this up really well. Again, this might seem like a lot, but we're actually going to be using 2 tablespoons of this vinegar. So there's 1, and then 2. So 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Now you could use garlic powder, but I prefer real fresh garlic. So we have 1 large clove and 2 kind of medium. And then again, we could be using powdered, dry garlic, but we're using the real deal. Next, we're going to add 2 large medjool dates. Now these are soaked dates, which just makes them a little bit more easily digestible. This doesn't really sweeten it up, although it does add a sweet flavor to the dressing. We're trying to balance out a lot of the different flavors. Next, we're going to take a lemon, and we're going to basically juice 1 whole lemon into our recipe as well. So there's a half, and I'll let Marilyn do this half. Okay, she said no. A little intimidated by the lemon squeezer. All right, so we've got 1 lemon. Now we're going to add 1 cup of purified water. You could also use Rejuvelac if you wanted to make this an activated dressing. Rejuvelac's really easy to make. You can make a cabbage Rejuvelac by just blending up cabbage and water together equal parts, leaving it on the counter for 3 days, and then you just strain it through a nut milk bag. And again, Rejuvelac, a simple cabbage Rejuvelac, will increase the amount of nutrients in this thing tenfold. It'd be an activated, really delicious ranch as well. So maybe we'll do that next time. All right, next what we have here is a chipotle chili pepper. Okay, so a chipotle chili pepper powder. You can just get this at any grocery store. This does have a very strong chipotle flavor. It's also very spicy. So we're going to use half of a teaspoon. If you like it a lot more spicy, you could actually use a little bit more. I wouldn't do a full teaspoon, but maybe a half a teaspoon and then a 1/4 teaspoon more. So 3/4 teaspoon would work as well. But really to taste, however spicy you like it. This also adds a very nice chipotle flavor to the dressing, hence the name. Okay, now we're going to use smoked paprika, and it's an entire teaspoon, but we're almost out, so yeah, that's actually not even quite a full teaspoon. So, but a full teaspoon of smoked paprika, again, adds a very nice flavor, brings a nice smoky balance to this. Then we're going to want to use 2 teaspoons of onion powder. So Marilyn, go ahead and get 2 teaspoons of onion powder in there. And then we got liquid smoke, and I'm sure this isn't raw, and I'm sure this is very processed. Let's read the ingredients. Okay, yeah, it's got water, mesquite smoke flavor, vinegar, molasses, caramel color. Yeah, so this is not raw, it is processed. If that really bothers you, just leave it out. You don't have to use it. I like using this occasionally, liquid smoke. It's an optional ingredient. And we're just going to use half of a teaspoon of this. And again, this just adds that really nice smoky flavor to your ranch, which I think is absolutely delicious. So yeah, I think that's everything other than our basil and our dill, which you'll see I like to pulse that in towards the end. So let's go ahead and get this thing rocking. Oops, it was already on. Okay. Halfway through, I'm going to go ahead and take my spatula and just kind of knock everything back down, because you do get little chunks of cashews that will pop up on the side, and sometimes some of the other ingredients. So I just like to kind of push everything down with our spatula here. Also, I think I failed to mention that with the cashews, 2 things. One, because we do use cashews for quite a bit of different things, cheeses and dressings and sauces and things, I like to buy those in bulk because obviously they're more affordable. And I also like to get the pieces in halves because they're a little bit less expensive than the whole cashews as well. But the most important part, no matter how you get them or where you get them or how much you buy, is to soak your cashews for 6 hours in water. And then what I like to do, that'll activate them, that'll make them I'm sorry, not activate, that just soaks them. It basically makes them a whole lot easier to digest. There's a whole book about why you should soak your nuts before you eat them. Read the book, I haven't, but you should. And then I dehydrate them and freeze them. So they're I always have nuts soaked and dehydrated and ready to go. So yeah, I'm going to give this a couple more seconds in the Vitamix here. Just blend this up nice and creamy. Now that we have it nice and creamy and all blended up, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of dill and an entire tablespoon of freeze-dried basil. I like to add these at the end just because I feel like you can over-blend these. And also, another thing to note on these is that if you'd like to add fresh herbs instead of dried or freeze-dried, absolutely go for it. Nothing wrong with that at all. I just didn't have a chance to get, okay, that's like a heaping tablespoon. It's quite a bit of dill, but again, I love the dill flavor in this. It really adds a lot to the dressing. So again, this is the freeze-dried basil, another heaping tablespoon of that. Once you get those in there, what I like to do is just kind of pulse those in to where it's not actually like obliterating those. There you have it. This is our Smokey Chipotle Ranch dressing. It looks a little bit thinner than it will after you put this in the refrigerator. Obviously, if you're using it as a dressing, you could have a little bit more water. But I wash my greens most of the time. I wash my greens before I make a salad, and so my greens are kind of wet. So when I put this over my salad as a thick dressing, as soon as I mix it in, the water from those greens kind of dilutes it down, and it's the perfect consistency. But this will thicken up quite a bit when you put it in the refrigerator, which of course I like to do before I use it, nice and chilled. And Marilyn is going to be doing our taste test. I have a fresh, delicious cucumber right here. We're going to have Marilyn dip. Well, I'll go ahead and test it out as well. Why not? But we're going to dip our cucumber in our... And Marilyn's not a big fan of the spicy, so... You taste the smokiness?
It's not that
Chipotle?
spicy.
No, it's not that spicy. It does kind of sneak up on you. I remember my mom, first time she tried it, she said, oh, this is not that spicy, but the aftertaste, it kind of kicks in. So you could actually probably do a full teaspoon of that chipotle powder. But another trick we love to do, because it is a little spicier, is I'll add raisins to my salad to sweeten it up. So I love to put this over a chopped salad. I'll chop up some romaine and maybe some purple cabbage. And then I'll do carrots, sometimes I'll do peppers, sometimes I almost always do a cucumber and a tomato. A lot of times I'll do celery. And then I'll put this dressing on, mix it in, and add some organic raisins. And the sweet fruit, the sweet dried fruit with this Smokey Chipotle ranch is just perfect. It's an absolutely delicious salad. This is legitimately one of those dressings where I can eat it day after day after day after day. It never gets old. So highly recommend, if you haven't tried this out, go ahead and whip you up a batch of this. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. I'm going to make my salad right now because in a couple hours I'm headed down south a couple hours to do some animal outreach, some animal rights, activism outreach. For the first time ever, it's going to be called a Cube of Truth. Basically, we're just going to be exposing what happens on the inside of slaughterhouses, and I'm going to do a report back on the channel for you guys, let you know how it went for me, kind of discuss you know, what I thought about it. And so appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this video, you like seeing Marilyn, give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment in the comment section below, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so now because we've got some really good content coming up. Go ahead and ring the notification bell as well, and make sure you select all. That way you get notified on all of our new content coming out. Thank you so much for watching.